Pei Ling was the ultimate punchline in 2011.
They present you with Pei Ling.
But obtained one of the highest vote shares in Singapore's 2020 election.
You were one of the few PAP candidates to record an above 70% vote share in GE 2020, alongside heavyweights PM Lee and SM Tharman. How do you feel about this?
Why was she ridiculed? And how did she earn the respect of voters? This is the story of a flower that bloomed through adversity. Not despite adversity, but because it gave her the focus to grow.
The greatest regret is I didn't manage to bring my parents to Universal Studio.
Inexperienced, unprepared, materialistic. Three of many words used to describe Pei Ling as she campaigned in her first election. The crowd mocked her kid's feedback on nomination day. And even young children laughed at her.
Everyone hates her.
And many Singaporeans believe family ties played a role in Pei Ling's candidacy. Her husband was the Prime Minister's principal private secretary. These perceptions added fuel to the fire, rightly or wrongly. But even during those dark days, there were signs that she was determined to rise above the ridicule. Her election rally speech focused entirely on how she would help residents.
We'll increase the utilization of ComCare Emergency Fund so that more lower income families and the elderly can benefit from it. I will also want to raise resources to install energy-saving light bulbs for our low-income families because in the long run, it will help them to save costs in utilities. For our children, our young, I would like to introduce a regular enrichment programs, in particular, mentored reading program.
Let's compare her speech to two other new candidates, one from her party and one from an opponent. Her colleague focused on the ruling party's track record.
That is how we create good jobs.
And her opponent focused on stirring emotions by criticizing the ruling party.
What do they love?
Pei Ling presented concrete ideas for improving residents' lives, but they did not. In Singapore, some electoral areas can be contested by individual candidates, but others must be contested by teams of around 5 people. Tin was part of a team. Her team won with 57% of the vote, which was considered a poor result, as the team had an ex-prime minister.
Pei Ling, of course, was affected. She has been given a negative image from the very start.
But the public ridicule did not stop after the election. In fact, an online Facebook page calling for Tin's removal from Parliament gained 40,000 likes. People said that she rode into Parliament on the coattails of her teammates.
My parents, when they went out, obviously nobody knew who they were. So they could, for example, they were at a food court and they could hear people talking about their daughter, right? But they couldn't say anything. And then I remembered, so I remembered that even when I was going out, there were people who recognized me and they were, talking about me, knowing that I was there. For a long time, I didn't dare to go out, except to when I needed to go to the constituency and do my work. And every day it would be just crying at home at night.
And yet, her maiden speech in Parliament praised the good intentions of those who were criticizing her.
The government and society need not overreact to the loud and sometimes strident debate, especially on the internet. Robust debate or even disagreements on issues shows that young Singaporeans are genuinely concerned about the future of Singapore, our Singapore.
Instead of suppressing criticism, she focused on caring for residents. And this attitude of service helped her focus on pressing issues. For example, she raised funds to help people who had fallen through the cracks.
一个时期我没有办法，我有生病，他也帮我写信去医院申请那些医药费的东西。
那次我失业，我去找他，跟他讲情形怎么样。后来他帮我的忙，写信给那个老板。不久他们回信叫我去见我的 supervisor， 马上安排我1个礼拜2天，所以我找到工作了。
A milk powder fund ensured that young children received milk powder every quarter. Tin Pei Ling knew the powers given to her could address policy imperfections.
It's easier for MPs to ask people for resources, for donations. And also as MPs, we can knock on agencies' doors or even bang their tables if need be.
She also completed projects that benefited the whole constituency.
那13M这个路线的车给很多人都方便。
The next election was a complete change, and in more ways than one. Election boundaries were redrawn, and Tin Pei Ling now contested the same area as an individual candidate. She faced two opponents. One of those opponents was from Singapore's strongest opposition party, but her opponents no longer mocked her. Instead, they commended her for her hard work.
在产后，她马上就投入了竞选工作。
And they also made it clear that personal attacks against her were unwelcome.
我们不能有这样的言语在新加坡政治。
When the votes were counted, Tin Pei Ling was full of gratitude. She was the best individual performer against Singapore's most popular opposition party. As Tin Pei Ling continued into her second term, some residents started treating her as family.
我都觉得我都不舍得搬走。
Why? She did things that families do more often than lawmakers.
She listened to my stories and she can feel what I'm going through, the pain, everything. Yeah, and she helped me a lot since my children was young.
3 years ago, I was pregnant. At that time, Tin Pei Ling and her team actually came to my house to check how I was doing, during my confinement.
She helped people financially, emotionally, and practically. Crucially, she appeared to genuinely care for residents.
There's one auntie I always share, right? She will always count the number of times that we meet. Then I think after a while, she also almost losing count already.
Okay. Over 100, right? You said?
Yeah.
Wow.
If she was helping people because she saw them as part of her political journey, she must have hidden it very well. And her initiatives made the news.
100 low-income households in McPherson will have half their electricity bills covered for a year.
In Tin Pei Ling's third election, social media was again a potent force. But this time, stories of Tin Pei Ling's hard work, relatability, and down-to-earth nature circulated. Even people outside her constituency were impressed. Tin Pei Ling won with 72% of the vote in 2020. She was one of the best performing candidates. Her performance was comparable to then Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, who was also up against an opposition party of similar popularity. To be clear, Tin Pei Ling has not been free from controversy. In 2023, she announced she would become Director of Government Affairs at a local tech company, after people raised eyebrows. Grab redesignated her as Director of Corporate Development. Looking at the big picture, it's easy to frame this story as the triumph of resilience over ridicule. But an even more important question lurks in the background. Every country needs its best people to lead, and people are more willing to be in the public eye if they are treated fairly. How can we use social media to inspire all politicians to do their best, while being critical but humane if they make mistakes? Thanks for watching.